Welcome everyone to my review of issue 2 of IDW Sonic's Fang the Hunter miniseries. For those of you new to the channel, generally I review IDW Sonic comics as they come out, which involves summarizing and sharing my general thoughts. Currently though, the main IDW Sonic series is on hold to make room for this miniseries, but it's slated to return sometime in May. Anyway, with these reviews, because they're covering issues that were recently released, I generally give spoiler warnings, like I'm doing right here, in case people may want to bow out and read the issue first, which I highly recommend doing before watching the video. And usually before I start a review, I briefly recap the events of the previous issue in order to get viewers up to speed, especially if it's been a while between issues. Issue 1 featured Fang the Hunter and his two companions Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear hunting down a rumored 8th Chaos Emerald. After trying and failing to get any relevant intel from Sonic, they went to Angel Island to see if Knuckles knows anything about this rumored gem. Unfortunately for them, Knuckles utilized some of his traps to deal with these trespassers and has succeeded in capturing Bean and Bark. Now Fang must hunt down Knuckles before he too is captured. There's also this secondary plot involving Sonic and Tails investigating a mysterious airship that recently appeared, attacked Marble Zone, and then disappeared without a trace. You know, let's start with that one first. Sonic and Tails managed to find the airship, and upon closer inspection, it appears to have a modified version of Eggman's insignia. Before our heroes engage the ship in battle, it disappears. While Sonic and Tails are flummoxed, this makes them more interested in the airship. They head off to Tails' workshop to analyze the data. And that's the airship plot for the issue. From here on out, it's all Fang, all the time. We rejoin the hunter as he's avoiding traps, not long after discovering the ones that captured Bean and Bark. In order to solve this dilemma, he begins to think like Knuckles. He figures the Echidna saw him escape the traps, and retreated to another location to plan his next move. And as Fang makes it to an open area, he deduces Knuckles' fallback spot, Sandopolis Zone. During his trek through the area, Fang is momentarily distracted by the thoughts of possible Sandopolis relics, before reminding himself to focus on the 8th Emerald, as well as rescuing his associates. Once again putting himself in Knuckles' mindset, he guesses the Guardian would see him coming from a higher vantage point, avoiding traps and such. So Fang goes for the low road and all its obstacles, and manages to find an unsuspecting Knuckles. He signals his bike to distract Knuckles while he knocks him straight into a nearby hole. Fang follows him down into Sandopolis' ruins, and round 2 begins. Their fight leads them to the captured Bean and Bark, who are freed thanks to Fang signaling his bike to cut them loose. With Knuckles now surrounded, Fang demands answers on the 8th Emerald, and it plays out just like his chat with Sonic. Mistaking the Master Emerald for number 8, Fang clarifies and tries to remember the color, and the question party says, "Why would I know anything about something that's a mere fairy tale?" Now 0 for 2, the Fang gang leave. Bean and Bark really have had enough of Fang's 8th Emerald quest. They demand he take them to a real gig, or they're leaving. Fang would be happy to drop them off right here and now, provided the two are excellent swimmers. So, Bean and Bark are stuck with him for the moment. Besides, Fang has one more lead he can follow. A remote island that's said to have had a treasure once connected to the Chaos Emeralds. And once they arrive, they discovered Eggman once trying to conquer this place and wait a minute, that's Neutrogic High Zone. These three have arrived at the setting from Knuckles Chaotix. And it's looking a bit worse for wear since the events of that game. And the constant heavy rain is not helping. This is bad since the Marvelous Queen is currently recharging and is in no shape for a quick getaway. They find the game's Eggman's monitoring station, and Fang wants to use it to speed up their search. It won't be fast enough since the place is quickly flooding, and since the bike is nowhere near ready to fly, it looks like the Fang gang are done for. But then suddenly, they're rescued by what appears to be the Combi Capture minigame. That's good. The one that rescued them though, is Dr. Eggman. That's bad. And thus concludes issue 2. The chances of the Fang gang splitting up at the end of this miniseries have gone up thanks to this issue. And if it happens, Fang only has himself to blame. His obsession with finding the fabled 8th Emerald had not only once again led the group to a dead end, it almost resulted in the group's actual end if not for Eggman's rescue. Plus, you know, Bean and Bark's frustration with not going after actual tangible things. Fang was only able to keep them in line this time, thanks to him threatening to drop them in the ocean. This brings me to another reason why Bean and Bark might say bye-bye to Fang once this is all over. Fang's treatment of the two in this issue. Remember what I said last time about Fang caring about his two lackeys? Well, I might need to amend that a bit. He does care about Bean and Bark, as long as it benefits him in the long run. He did go out of his way to save them from Knuckles, just so he can have a numbers advantage at the end. Not to mention, when finding them, he berates them for being useless. Their response is perfect. Then there's this bit at Neutronic High Zone, where Fang brags about all the tune-ups and upgrades he plans to give his bike with the reward money. And it's implied he's going to use all of it, with none left over for Bean and Bark. Fang claims a well-maintained bike is better for the long term, but these two know what's up. I mean, he treats the Marvelous Queen better than them. Remember, he prevented Bean from going all out against Sonic because there was a risk of bombing the bike. And as shown in this issue, there were moments where the Marvelous Queen came in handy. That said, if Fang wants to keep Bean and Bark on his side a little bit longer, it might be a good idea to treat them with a little respect. I know he has to maintain a tough guy image, but it wouldn't hurt to give positive encouragement to any of his underlings every now and then. Otherwise, they leave him at best, or give him some much needed pain at worst. It would also help Fang to temper his obsession a bit. I respect that he's laser focused on his goal of finding the 8th Emerald, but it wouldn't also hurt to pick up some smaller trinkets on the side, like from, say, Sandopolis. During his trek through the place, it's implied that Fang had never been in the area before, which is why he was curious about what treasures he might find before he forced himself back on the 8th Emerald path. I know distractions can be bad at times, but sometimes getting something out of those distractions might be a good thing in the long run. Again, like getting minor Sandopolis trinkets to appease your level-headed associates. Yes, it's come to a point where I'm calling Bean level-headed. Despite his greedy tendencies, Fang does show off his competent tracking skills and deductive reasoning when it comes to facing off against Knuckles in Mushroom Hill and Sandopolis. And he was able to last long enough against the Echidna so that he could free the others. While it turned out to be another dead end, at least the conflict with Knuckles turned out much better than the conflict with Sonic. Now, I still appreciate the Sonic 3 and Knuckles love, even if we're featuring one of the more frustrating levels, but I'm more amazed that we're getting some Knuckles Chaotix representation here. Which means the game happened in this universe. Well, there was a tease of Classic Vector in the Amy special, and we know Mighty's around. Now I wonder how Classic Espio and Classic Charmy would have worked, especially because Charmy's supposed to be 6 in the modern era. Probably a case of, don't think about it too much. Fang's reason for visiting this place is due to his research about a legendary treasure that was once connected to the Chaos Emeralds. Said treasure could have been the Power Stone that was said to have wiped out a legendary civilization, and has since been relocated to a floating island. No, wait, I'm sorry. The floating island. Wait, the only floating island I know is Angel Island. This information is based on a translated Japanese manual found on a wiki, so take it with a grain of salt. But if I understand this correctly, the Power Stone may or may not be the Master Emerald. And based on the plot explained by that translated Japanese manual, pillar energy from the Master Emerald went to that island, and said energy when entering a special zone transformed into Chaos Rings, the collectible MacGuffins of Knuckles Chaotix. And we do know the Master Emerald does have a connection to the Chaos Emerald, so yeah, on that front, Fang is right. Then again, we could have gone by the game's US manual, where the Doc was trying to steal the Power Emerald from Carnival Island. Localization errors. Whatever the reason, it gets the Fang gang there and puts them in contact with Eggman at the end. Apparently, he's still monitoring long-abandoned areas, perhaps because of possible new developments such as a trio of bounty hunters snooping around. Before wrapping things up, I do want to comment on the disappearing airship plot. After seeing how it's done, it appears to be similar to when someone enters a special zone via warp ring. That means the ship may have technology and/or a mystical item that allows it to go from place to place using special zones, if that is the case. And the one in control of the airship? By now, solicitations and covers for the final 2 issues would have been released, and they kinda revealed the culprit. For the sake of suspense, I won't reveal it here, but based on the logo, I think we can figure out who it is. I mean, the crown on top is a big giveaway, and it wouldn't be the first time this classic era villain would have an agenda separate from Eggman. We're halfway done with this miniseries, and so far, I'm still entertained, and curious to see if Fang gets the answers he seeks, though I understand Bean and Bark's frustration with his quest. Then again, it is nice to revisit past game locations to see how they've held up, and we still got some of that classic era humor like how the Standopolis ghosts, the Heudoros, decide to let Fang and Knuckles duke it out, and how Bean was happy, then disappointed, about being rescued. Twice. The art as always helped with this humor, though I will point out the odd coloring with Sonic and Knuckles, how their peach areas are lighter than normal. I thought at first it was a choice considering most of the action took place at night and it was a full moon, so the light was reflecting off those areas. But then I dismissed it and saw it for what it really was. A possible error, after seeing Knuckles in the underground area, away from moonlight, and still having brighter than normal areas, and Bark, who has peach areas too, having normal colorization. Perhaps it will get fixed when the miniseries goes to trade. So what does Eggman have planned for the Fang Gang? And what secrets does the airship hold? Hopefully we'll find out more in issue 3. See you then. Fang's comment about someone wrecking Neutragic High Zone is funny considering that he unknowingly just clashed with one of the people responsible.